The 8 secret bodily markers that show your true life expectancy and how long you may expect to live after the age of 65. To what extent do you still have time left? This is a disturbing question, particularly after the age of 65, when each year starts to feel like it is more valuable than the last. What happens, however, if your body is already teasing you with the answer? Are there any subtle indications that can tell you how much longer you might live? It's easy to get caught up in the routine of getting checkups and blood testing as we become older. On the other hand, scientific research is demonstrating that some of the most reliable predictors of longevity are not concealed under complicated examinations. In the way that you walk, the way that you sleep, and the way that you feel on a typical day, they are completely there. In the following video, we are going to have a look at 8 symptoms that are not immediately obvious but have a significant impact on your body. These signs can assist you in determining the number of years that you still have ahead of you. It is neither a guess or a fiction that these are. They are founded on the findings that researchers and medical professionals have gathered from individuals who have lived longer and better lives. It is important that you pay close attention if you have ever pondered whether or not you are moving in the right direction or whether or not your body is aging properly. Because by the time you reach the conclusion of this video, you will have a complete understanding of what to look for and, more significantly, what you can do to improve your chances of not only living longer but also living better. Continue to pay attention until the very end, since some of these indicators can take you by surprise, and if you recognize them now, it could potentially alter the way you live the rest of your life. Now, let's get something going. The first indication is that your walking speed is still robust and consistent. A blood test or a scan is not the most trustworthy indicator of how long you may live after the age of 65, rather. The most reliable indicator is found in the number of steps you take. The speed at which you walk, as well as the rhythm and energy that you bring to each stride, conveys a great deal of information about the health of your heart, muscles, bones, and even your brain. It's not just about mobility when you go through the world at a healthy and constant speed. They're also about other things. In other words, it is a representation of how effectively your complete system is working together efficiently. Gait is often referred to as a window into the aging body by medical professionals. And they get it right. Your ability to walk at a brisk and steady pace indicates that you still have resilience. There is a correlation between the slower and more hesitant pace at which you walk and the likelihood that your body is beginning to struggle with the weight of age that is not evident. Take, for example, Walter, who is 74 years old and walks his dog around the block every morning. There is a lively quality to his stride, even though he does not power walk or hurry. At each driveway, he does not stop for a moment. After taking a few steps, he does not require a moment to collect his breath. It is a calm but purposeful walk that he has. You are able to sense that he is completely present in a room when he walks in. It was once said to him by a neighbor that he did not walk like a man about his age. While Walter grinned, he didn't give it much thought at the time. It was not until much later that he came to the realization that his walking pace was a powerful indicator of his health and maybe his future. Research has revealed that older persons who walk with speed and consistency tend to live longer. This is not just due to the fact that their muscles are stronger or their lungs are healthier. It is also due to the fact that the pace of their walking reflects their coordination, cardiovascular health, and neurological efficiency. In addition, walking speed is not something that can be fabricated in any way. It is impossible to conceal a lack of strength in your stride or a hesitancy in your steps. It manifests itself in the speed with which you get up from a chair, the ease with which you proceed across a street, or the self-assurance with which you walk over a curb. The slowing of one's pace may indicate problems with circulation, the loss of muscle mass, or the beginning stages of neurological impairment. On the other hand, the good news is that walking pace is one of the symptoms that can be altered the greatest. You have the ability to make it better. Not only can you add years to your life, but you can also add years to the life you have in your years by strengthening your legs, working on your balance, and building the kind of endurance that extends your life. Consequently, if you continue to walk in the same manner that you have always done, if you move through the world with vitality and ease, it is not something that should be ignored. According to what your body is trying to tell you, we are still going strong. Also, if you have seen that you are slowing down, you should not disregard this fact. Take baby steps, make use of the stairs, exercise your legs in a gentle manner. The reason for this is that the manner in which you walk now could very well be the simplest and most revealing indication of how long you will continue to walk into the future. Sign 2. You are able to maintain your balance on one leg for a minimum of 10 seconds. The degree to which you are able to maintain your upright position on one leg is one of the most telling measures of how well your body is aging and how long it may continue to function. Balance encompasses more than just coordination. Despite the fact that it may appear to be a straightforward test that you wouldn't give much thought to. The power of your muscles, the functioning of your nervous system, the function of your brain, and even your inner ear are all included in this reflection. You will be able to maintain your position with grace when all of those systems are communicating with one another in a clear manner. When your body is centered, and when your mind is focused. If, on the other hand, something is wrong with you, such as your muscles becoming weaker, your reflexes becoming slower, or your brain not being entirely sharp, it will quickly manifest itself in your equilibrium. This volatility is not merely an annoyance, rather, it serves as a cautionary note. Let's take a look at Arthur, who is 77 years old and recently participated in the one-leg test as part of a routine examination. Simply put, his physician instructed him to stand on one foot, barefoot, with his arms by his sides, and to maintain this position for 10 seconds. In the beginning, Arthur was a little unsteady, but he was able to get through it without holding anything. His physician gave him a grin and remarked, "You are absolutely correct. There is one of the most reliable indicators that we have for predicting your lifespan." In spite of the fact that he shrugged it off, Arthur continued to think about it later that night. He'd witnessed friends his age decline throughout the course of his life. Even though some of them had shattered hips, others never fully healed. He had no idea that maintaining a state of equilibrium was so strongly related to surviving. However, once he saw it, it didn't make any sense at all. Mainly due to the fact that maintaining equilibrium does not just involve being stationary. Your body's capacity to defend itself, to react, and to recover is the focus of this discussion. When you lose your equilibrium, you increase your risk of falling. And at a certain age, falls become more serious and more dangerous. More than that, however, difficulties with balance frequently indicate the presence of other subtle alterations. This may indicate that your legs are losing strength at a faster rate than you had anticipated. Early problems with brain processing or delayed reaction times may be the result of this condition. However, for a lot of people, it is the very first bodily difference that they see that makes them feel uneasy. However, here is the bit that is hopeful. It is possible to train one's balance. Rebuilding it is possible, along the same lines as strength or endurance. It becomes better with practice. A progressive restoration of stability can be achieved through the practice of straightforward exercises such as walking, practicing heel to toe, standing on one foot near a counter, or doing mild yoga. Putting in even 30 seconds per day can make a difference that lasts. Consequently, if you are able to maintain your balance on one leg for a period of at least 10 seconds, particularly without clinging to anything, this is a strong indication that your body and brain are still functioning in a coordinated manner. If you are unable to do so at this time, there is no need to freak out over it. It is a request to get things started. As you make progress toward regaining your equilibrium, each step you take serves to lengthen the number of steps you will take in the years to come. Movement is not the only factor that determines longevity. It is to maintain an upright posture. I would appreciate it if you could leave a comment below number 2 to let me know that you are here and that you are still watching this video and that you are finding these insights to be helpful. I strongly suggest that you subscribe to the channel and activate the bell if you have not already done so. This will ensure that you do not miss any videos. With your assistance, we are able to continue producing high-quality content that will both inform and inspire you. Let's proceed with our plans now. The third sign indicates that your grip strength is still strong and dependable. A handshake contains a surprising amount of truth. Which is surprising. Although grip strength may appear to be a little matter, it is actually one of the most reliable markers of how well your body is holding up over the course of time. If you have a firm and stable grip, it indicates that your muscles are still strong, that your nervous system is functioning effectively, and that your cardiovascular health is probably in acceptable condition. On the other hand, a weakening grip can be an indication of a more widespread decline, including the loss of muscle mass, a reduction in bone density, and even an increased risk of cardiovascular illness, cognitive difficulties, and cardiovascular disease. Despite the fact that this one basic action, the degree to which you are able to hold on to something, has been connected repeatedly in studies to the likelihood that you will live for a long time. It is nevertheless astonishing. Henry, who is 70 years old, observed something peculiar. One afternoon, when I was opening a jar of pickles, I noticed that it was more difficult than normal, not unpleasant, but weaker than before. He recognized a few weeks later, while he was playing with his granddaughter, that he was unable to hold her up for an extended period of time. After some time had passed, his physician examined his grasp using a handheld instrument and determined that it had significantly diminishing in just 2 years. A wake-up call was what it was. Henry not only did not feel ill, despite the fact that he was not experiencing any symptoms such as a limp, cough, or loss of weight, his muscles were gradually weakening, and his body was sending him a subtle signal that it needed attention. Such is the effect that grip strength has. This does not yell out. It utters a word. When carrying groceries becomes a little bit more exhausting, when twisting the top off of a bottle gets awkward, and when shaking hands does not feel as solid as it used to. You are acutely aware of this phenomenon. These are not merely indications that one is becoming older. They are indications of more profound changes occurring within your body. In contrast, you can improve your grip strength in the same way that you can improve your walking speed and balance. Performing push-ups against a wall, using light hand weights, and squeezing a tennis ball are all examples of activities that engage and rebuild the same mechanisms that assist you in maintaining your grip. And that is significant, due to the fact that this is not only about hands. What matters is the amount of strength that your body is able to maintain. Your hands are merely instruments of communication. In addition, as they begin to weaken, it is an indication that your body may be losing its ability to recover, to combat disease, and to maintain its independence. However, that does not have to be the story you tell. Even if you only opt to strengthen your fingers, wrists, and forearms, you are making an investment in your future each and every time you make the decision to do so. Take a minute to appreciate the fact that you are still able to perform tasks such as opening jars, carrying bags, and shaking hands with self-assurance if your grasp is still firm. It is not just a matter of convenience. The degree to which your internal systems are able to collaborate effectively is reflected in this. In addition, if you have observed a little decrease, you should take it carefully, due to the fact that there are occasions when the smallest indicators are the ones that reveal the most significant realities. And in this particular scenario, the degree to which you are able to maintain a hold on something could very well be an indication of how long you will maintain your hold on life itself. When you wake up most days, you get a feeling of being well rested. The way you feel when you first open your eyes in the morning is one of the most obvious signs that your body is aging well and may continue to do so for many years to come. It's not enough to simply get through the night when you're sleeping. This is the time when your body does things like mend tissue, rebuild your immune system, bring your hormones back into balance, and remove toxins from your brain. If you wake up for the majority of your mornings feeling refreshed, rather than foggy or exhausted, This is a significant indication that your systems are still functioning in harmony. And that is significant, due to the fact that a lack of quality or disruption in one's sleep has been associated with an increased risk of a variety of health problems, including heart disease, stroke, memory loss, and a weakened immune system. Consider a person like Frank, who is 68 years old and has been accustomed to surviving on 5 hours of sleep for much of his life. After he retired, he began going to bed just a little bit earlier than before. In the evening, reducing the amount of caffeine you consume and going outside first thing in the morning to catch some natural sunlight are both beneficial. It took him only a few months before he started waking up with increased vigor. After that, he was no longer in need of an alarm clock. His mood began to improve. There was a small decrease in his blood pressure. Furthermore, the stiffness in his joints that he had been experiencing each morning began to subside. The effects of his sleep on his health were not instantaneous but rather gradual over time. Moreover, that modification contributed something of a measurable energy. The state of your body can be gleaned from the way you sleep. If you find that you are waking up many times throughout the night, that you have difficulty falling asleep, or that you feel weary even after being in bed for 7 or 8 hours, it is possible that your body is trying to communicate with you. Stress could be the cause. Undiagnosed apnea is always a possibility. It could be a sign of something more serious, or it could be a side effect of what you are taking. However, despite the fact that it is tempting to dismiss sleep problems as a natural part of the aging process, this assumption can be rather costly, because if you do not take action to treat your sleep problems, they will continue to erode your capacity to think clearly, move easily, and protect yourself from sickness for a longer period of time. On the other hand, the good news is that, just like the other symptoms that we have covered, sleep may be transformed. Create a consistent pattern for going to bed. Reduce the amount of time you spend in front of electronic screens in the evening. Limit the amount of alcohol and heavy meals you consume before going to bed. And make sure you receive some exposure to morning light. The rhythm of your body can be reset with the help of these minor adjustments. To add insult to injury, the quality of your rest will improve as your rhythm gets better. And when you get more rest, everything else, including your heart, your brain, your energy, and your attitude, also starts to improve. You should not take it for granted if you are the type of person who wakes up feeling completely rested on the majority of days. This is a really special and significant present. The fact that your body is still functioning well behind the scenes is suggested by this. Even if you haven't reached that point yet, that doesn't always mean that you're aging poorly. What this indicates is that there is a chance, mainly due to the fact that enhancing your sleep is not simply about ease. The issue is one of duration, and there are instances when the quality of sleep you get today could very well determine how energetic you feel 10 years from now. I would appreciate it if you could use the 4th comment section below to let me know that you are continuing viewing this video and that you are finding these insights to be helpful. I strongly suggest that you subscribe to the channel and activate the bell if you have not already done so. This will ensure that you do not miss any videos. With your assistance, we are able to continue producing high-quality content that will both inform and inspire you. Let's proceed with our plans now. This is the 5th sign. Even if you have a steady appetite, you continue to appreciate regular meals. This is especially true around the age of 65, when your hunger might reveal a great deal more about your health than you might anticipate. Whenever you find yourself feeling hungry during mealtimes, make sure to take pleasure in the flavor of the food you eat and keep your weight stable. Because of this, it is a positive indication that all of your internal systems, including digestion, hormones, and the regulation of emotions, are operating effectively. On the other side, a diminished appetite, particularly when combined with accidental weight loss or a lack of interest in food, might be a subtle indication of more serious emotional and psychological problems. There is more to your hunger than just the food you eat. It is a glimpse into the liveliness of the world. Consider the case of Charles, who is 73 years old and yet looks forward to his regular habit of eating breakfast without fail. His favorite breakfast is oatmeal with a touch of cinnamon, and he also enjoys slicing fresh fruit and making coffee. Even while it is not particularly fancy, it is reliable, and perhaps most importantly, it has a pleasing sensation. When he was younger, his physician advised him that as long as he continued to take pleasure in eating and maintained his vigor, his body was letting him know that it was doing its job. Charles did not consider his appetite to be something particularly noteworthy. Simply put, he enjoyed his meals. However, as time went on, he started to recognize it for what it actually was, a subtle indication that his systems were still in equilibrium. The loss of appetite is a regular occurrence among older adults, but it is not something that can be considered normal. Sometimes it is an indication of the adverse effects of medication, a decreased mood, changes in digestion, or even the beginning stages of an illness. As soon as we lose the desire to consume food, our muscles begin to break down at a faster rate, our immune system decreases over time, our vitality begins to wane, and as time passes, not only do we lose strength, but we also lose our independence. As a result, it is more important than most people realize to pay attention to the amount of food that you consume and the amount that you desire to consume. More than simply calories are at play here. All that matters is one's relationship to life itself. Nevertheless, appetite, like a great number of other indicators of health, can be developed if you want to re-establish your natural hunger cues. Staying physically active, even if it's just something as basic as walking, will certainly help. It is possible to reignite delight at the table by sharing meals with other people. It is possible to breathe fresh life into cuisine by incorporating new textures, herbs, and spices. The treatment of dry mouth or the improvement of denture fit can sometimes be all that is necessary to make a difference. The important thing is to make sure that a decreasing appetite is not ignored. Consequently, if you find that you are looking forward to meals, taking pleasure in flavors, and eating without exerting any effort or force, this is not something that should be ignored. In other words, your body is trying to tell you that it still has fuel to burn. And if you feel that your hunger is beginning to diminish, pay close attention, mainly due to the fact that restoring it could not only increase your day-to-day energy but also provide you with additional years of healthy existence. When it comes down to it, one of the oldest indicators of well-being is the desire to provide nourishment for oneself. In addition, the fact that the spark is still present is sometimes an indication that a great deal more is still attainable. As a sign 6, you are able to tolerate tension without becoming overly reactive. The way in which you react to stress at this point in your life can provide a subtle indication of how long your body and mind might continue to function. Your health will suffer from the inside out if you are subjected to chronic stress, particularly if it is not controlled properly. Increasing your blood pressure, weakening your immune system, and hastening the aging process in both the brain and the body are all effects of this substance. On the other hand, if you have seen that you are now able to handle the obstacles that life presents with a more steady hand, a more composed voice, and fewer emotional spikes, you are not only acquiring wisdom, you may also be protecting your lifespan in ways that you are not even aware of. Consider a person like Gerald, who is 76 years old and has spent years responding as soon as can to every difficulty, including arguments, financial losses, and even poor drivers. However, during the past few years, his speed has shifted. There was no yelling coming from him when a pipe burst in his kitchen. He paused for a moment, made a phone call, and then proceeded to maneuver through the chaos with composure. He made a joke about how it was not worth the heartburn. This transformation, however, is more than just a matter of personality. It involves selecting measured responses rather than explosive emotions. Resilience is the key. Moreover, resilience is one of the most powerful factors that can be used to predict a long life. When your nervous system is in a state of equilibrium and your mind is not allowed to be mired in anxiety, your body functions more efficiently, your heart beats more evenly, Your digestion improves, your sleep becomes more profound, and your ability to make decisions becomes more distinct. You are not avoiding stress, rather, it indicates that your body is able to recover to a state of equilibrium after experiencing stress. This return to baseline is what maintains a low level of inflammation and ensures that your internal systems continue to function normally. Your chances of avoiding stress-related disorders that decrease lifespans are increased in proportion to the frequency with which you engage in this practice. Stress is, without a doubt, an inevitable component of being human. However, the objective is not to get rid of it, rather, it is to develop a response to it. Gentle breathing exercises, quiet time spent outside, prayer, or even just having a regular chat with someone who is attentive are all viable options. These easy routines can assist you in bringing your body back to a state of calm and regulating your emotions. When you do this, it is as if you are pressing a button that will restart the process of aging itself. Therefore, it is not a little matter if you discover that you are no longer prone to panicking at the first sight of danger, that you are able to take some time to consider before reacting, or that you are able to move through frustration with a little bit more grace. That your inner world is stable is what it means, and this consistency can not only help you live longer, but it can also help you live better. When it comes to longevity, it is not about avoiding every storm, rather, it is about learning how to endure them without breaking. I would appreciate it if you could use the 6th comment section below to let me know that you are continuing viewing this video and that you are finding these insights to be helpful. I strongly suggest that you subscribe to the channel and activate the bell if you have not already done so. This will ensure that you do not miss any videos. With your assistance, we are able to continue producing high-quality content that will both inform and inspire you. Let's proceed with our plans now. Sign 7. You maintain a keen mind and are able to readily recall the specifics of your daily life. As is the case with your body, your mind, like your body, provides subtle clues about how well it is aging. Moreover, your continuous capacity to think clearly, recall names, keep track of discussions, and concentrate without exerting a great deal of effort is one of the most obvious indications that you might live longer than the ordinary person. There is a strong connection between the resilience of your brain and these cognitive talents, which are things that many people continue to take for granted until they begin to decline. And when they continue to be intact, particularly into your late 60s and beyond, it is frequently an indication that your overall health is holding strong beneath the surface. Take for example Linda, who is 72 years old and still controls the family finances, is the leader of the reading club in her area, and constantly recalls the birthdays of her grandchildren without writing them down. Linda's friends frequently make jokes about how her memory is superior to theirs, but she is aware that this is not simply a matter of chance. She incorporates reading into her daily routine. She enjoys doing crossword puzzles with her morning coffee, and she makes it a point to learn something new every week. Her daily regimen is not about keeping herself busy, rather, it is about keeping her mind active. In addition, she might not be aware of the fact that those routines are doing more for her than just keeping her sharp. They are assisting in extending her own life, due to the fact that the brain is responsible for so much more than just thinking. Cognitive clarity is one of the most significant predictors of lifespan. Additionally, it is responsible for coordinating your movements, regulating your emotions, managing your sleep, and instructing your organs on how to work. To a large extent, everything else seems to follow when it slows down. Because of this, it is important to recognize indicators of cognitive decline at an early stage, such as forgetting recent events, having difficulty finding words, or feeling foggy for extended periods of time. They are not only being annoying, rather, they are messages. Additionally, if you address them at an early stage, you provide your brain with a better opportunity to recover. The good news is that your brain can be trained at any age by continuously engaging in social activities, reading challenging material, acquiring new skills, going for walks outside, and maintaining a healthy diet. These acts provide nourishment to the connections in your brain. In addition, when your brain is well nourished, your life has a tendency to grow fuller and last longer. That you are still able to feel mentally clear on most days. That you are able to remember specifics. That you are able to keep up with conversations. And that you are able to be mentally present is not just a tiny blessing. It is a proof of the strength that lies inside you. Also, if you have begun to observe certain changes, you should not become very concerned. But you should also not dismiss them. Mostly due to the fact that taking care of your brain right now is one of the most intelligent approaches to take of your future. Additionally, the more sharp your mind remains, the greater the likelihood that you will continue to take pleasure in the environment around you for many years to come. The eighth sign indicates that you have a strong social connection with other people. When it comes to determining how long you might live after the age of 65, the degree to which you are connected to other people is one of the most underrated yet powerful factors. Being in the company of other people is not enough. One must also experience being seen, heard, and valued in meaningful interactions. Aging in seclusion was never intended to be a part of the human nature. We begin to unravel at a rate that is considerably faster than we are aware of when we lose connection with one another. When we stop chatting, laughing, touching, and sharing life. However, maintaining social activity, even in understated ways, is beneficial to our health in ways that are both profound and long-lasting. One example of someone who chats on the dog is Evelyn, who is 79 years old. Although she does not have a wide network of friends, the fact that she is not alone is significant. One of her doctors once told her that by maintaining your connection with others, you are doing one of the best things you can for your heart. When she first heard it, she was confused. However, as time went on, she became aware of how much better she were able to sleep after joking with a friend or how much more vibrant she felt after having a simple lunch with her cousin. In the same way that medicine does, the body reacts to connection. Inflammation is reduced, blood pressure is lowered, immunological function is supported, and the brain is kept active when social relationships are present. In addition, they protect against both sadness and cognitive deterioration, and even the possibility of passing away prematurely. In point of fact, studies have discovered that when it comes to your health, not having strong social bonds can be just as detrimental as smoking or being overweight. However, in contrast to those traits, connection is more difficult to quantify. While you won't be able to detect it on a scale or in a blood test, you will be able to sense it in your spirit, and you will be able to observe its repercussions in the way that you age. It would be beneficial to pay attention to the fact that you have observed that you have a tendency to retreat, that you avoid calls, or that you skip meetings because you tell yourself that it is just easier to stay at home. It's not that being alone is a terrible thing, rather, it's that being disconnected for an extended period of time may steal away years from your life without any prior warning. It is not necessary for the antidote to be difficult to understand. Calling someone you haven't talked to in a while, sending a handmade note, joining a local group or class, or even striking up a discussion at the grocery store are all examples of things that could be considered potential ways to show appreciation. Mostly due to the fact that when you offer the world your presence, the world returns the favor by giving you something. When you continue to be a part of anything, regardless of how minor it may be, you are sending a message to your body that it is still required. Therefore, if you still have strong relationships in your life, and if people check in on you and you check in on them, you should not undervalue the significance of such ties. It is possible that this is one of the most obvious indications that you are not just living longer but also living better. Lastly, some thoughts. After you have seen these 8 indicators, you should pause for a minute of silent reflection. In your life, how many of them have you encountered? If you are able to move with steady steps, maintain your balance with ease, wake up feeling refreshed, eat properly, remember things clearly, laugh frequently, and maintain connections with other people, then you are doing really well. These are not only insignificant particulars, they are messages that are subtle, consistent, and have a profound significance. They tell you what your body and mind are still capable of. And more crucially, they signal to what is ahead for you if you continue to take care of yourself in straightforward and regular ways. The bright side is that the majority of these indications are not set in stone. It is not an exam that you either pass or fail for. Invites are what they are. Strengthening your balance is something you can do if it is off. Even if you have lost your appetite, you may bring it back to life. There is a way to alleviate stress if it is feeling heavier than it did in the past. Being perfect is not the key to living a long life. The key is to pay carefully, respond with caution, and select actions that are very insignificant but will have significant repercussions in the long run. Mainly due to the fact that good aging is not about avoiding decline. It is about maintaining a dialogue with your body and responding with wisdom to this discussion. It is important to keep in mind that it is never too late to alter the course of your healthcare narrative. The choices you make now are still important, regardless of whether you are 66 or 86 years old. The future is still shaped by them. Your actions, whether they be walking, speaking, sleeping, or laughing, have a ripple effect that extends beyond you, not only granting you more time but also providing you with greater life during that time. So, ask yourself, which of these signs struck you as the most surprising? Who is it that you recognize within yourself? And which of these do you believe you are prepared to begin working on right away? We appreciate you being here with us today. It would be wonderful if you could get in touch with us. Please leave a comment below and tell us about one item you discovered today and how you intend to put it to use in your life right now. We place a high value on your opinions, so please do not be reluctant to share them with us. Our inspiration and encouragement are greatly increased as a result of reading your remarks. I would appreciate it if you would like, subscribe, and share this video if you found it to be informative and enjoyable. With your assistance, we are able to continue producing high-quality content that will both inform and inspire you. We appreciate you taking the time to watch, and we hope to see you in the future video.